Greetings, listeners in Listenerland. Welcome to St. Louis in Tune with Arnold Stricker and Mark Langston, where we size up current and historic events involving people, places, and things in areas such as the arts, crime, education, employment, faith, finance, food, government, health, history, housing, humor, justice, and sports. We originate from and connect the gateway city to our country's current cultural fabric and lives. We talk about things regionally, nationally, internationally, and as Mark always likes to say, galactically.
That's right. Don't forget the Milky Way.
Don't forget the Milky Way, the North Star.
Who named it the Milky Way? That's might be a good question.
Are you talking about the candy bar?
See, there's the whole thing right there. So,
are the Three Musketeers out in the sky?
Right. They're out there somewhere. There's got to be.
The payday.
Right. The big payday in the sky.
Speaking of paydays, our thought for the day, because I'm still putting my Return to Civility book back together.
And is that from the dog eating it?
Yes.
Or is it from you?
And then I lost it, and then I couldn't find it, and then I have to put the pages back together because it's coming apart.
You were probably tough with your teacher. I
No.
lost it. The dog ate it.
Yeah, in this case, and you know this, the dog did eat it.
He did. That poor, yeah.
If opportunity doesn't knock, build a door. If opportunity doesn't knock, build a door.
Good. I like that.
Yeah.
That makes sense. It's about time you made sense.
Common sense is worth a lot of money.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's hard to find these days.
It is hard to find these days.
I'm afraid.
Something that is very easy to find is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And a lot of fun that is down at City Museum.
Oh, I like that place.
And specifically, the Circus Harmony is a lot of fun down at City Museum. And Jessica Hentoff, who's the artistic and executive director, is here with us to talk about Circus Harmony and a big event coming up called Swashbuckle, which we're going to talk to her. Jessica, welcome to St. Louis in Tune.
Thank you very much for having me.
Now, some people know about Circus Harmony. Some people may not be aware. We always like to educate the listeners out there in Listenerland. Discuss a little bit about what Circus Harmony is and how long it's been going on.
So Circus Harmony is St. Louis's only social circus school. That means we use the teaching and performing of circus arts to motivate social change by building character in individuals and building bridges between communities. It started in 1989 when I had a small troupe of children called the St. Louis Arches, and we are now multiple generations into the St. Louis Arches, but Circus Harmony became a nonprofit in 2001. Now, it has also evolved into a recreational circus school where anybody, our youngest students are 3, our oldest was 93 and did trapeze.
Wow.
Anybody can come and learn any of the circus arts. And we also evolved into one of the top pre-professional training schools in North America, in the United States of America.
Right.
And so we have a number of our alumni are now touring the world with shows like Cirque du Soleil and Seven Fingers.
Wow.
And we're based at City Museum.
Mm-hmm.
That's our home, where last year we presented 586 shows between our students and our teaching artists.
Wow.
Wow. It's right.
Crazy.
That's
Craziness.
a lot. Who knew?
So students sign up to become a circus performer, or how do they do that?
So you register for circus classes. We have classes year-round. As I said, for all ages. We're coming up on our summer camp season, so you can register for circus summer camps. And the summer camps are in 2-week sessions, where the first week you learn skills, and the second week you present them to the public. We have some students who come as many as 5 or 6 days a week who are on a more pre-professional track. Some people just come one night a week for juggling or unicycling club. It's whatever you want to do. But if you want to run away and join the circus, this is the place. And if you want to run away and join the circus, but still be home in time for dinner, this is also the place.
Okay, so I could actually become a trapeze artist or something?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
never too late to run away. And
Oh,
join
yeah.
the
For him,
circus.
it is. No, for Arnold, it's too late.
I see a double trapeze act starting.
Oh, no.
I'll hold you, Mark.
No, you I don't. Nothing personal. I don't trust you.
The next broadcast will be from a trapeze at City Museum inside of Circus
You
Harmony.
better have a
Mark,
really,
where'd you go?
really strong net below us. It's going to have to hold a lot of weight.
Well, and that's another thing is the ceilings are arguably not high enough. We do a lot in that space, and we have some incredible aerial acts, which I'll tell you about later. But we are looking for a place to put our flying trapeze
Oh,
year round.
oh my.
So that needs 40-foot ceilings.
Oh,
Oh.
my.
And we would stay at City Museum and do our shows, but we really would like to find a building with 40-foot ceilings, and anyone who finds us the building gets free flying trapeze lessons for life.
Oh, wow.
Get right
However
on
long
that,
that may
Arnold.
be.
Yeah, I'm going to get right on that as soon as the show's over.
Or a free juggling lesson, or our
Make
endless
some calls.
Now-
gratitude.
So do kids, how do they, Mark's got me going now.
I know.
do they grow up thinking like, man, I want to be a circus performer, or when does that change?
It used to be a little more iconic. I want to run away and join the circus.
Right.
But you still can. You really can. And the circus is a place. First of all, it's made up of several genres. So it's not like soccer where if you're not fast, you're never gonna
Right.
do well, get the ball, whatever. It's not like musical theater where if you can't carry a tune, you're not going to get a good part. In circus, you can be an acrobat, or maybe you could do the juggling, or you have good balance. You could ride unicycle, walk wire, or this is a place where the class clown gets to shine. Also, in a pyramid, you need big people on the bottom. You need little people on top.
Right.
There really is a place for everyone in the circus.
Okay.
So it's a place for kids who want to perform, but also want to be athletic, or want to be athletic, but also enjoy performing. And the other thing is, unlike a number of other performing arts, most people in the circus, when they go out to work, they get paid. A lot of people will sing or dance
Right.
just to sing or dance. But
Right.
in the circus, it's also, you can't say, I can do this. You either can hang by your toes or you can't.
Well,
And
yeah.
our young people are amazingly good at hanging by their toes and a lot of other circus arts.
Yeah, you guys have done some unbelievable kinds of activities, and I know there used to be like a clown
I knew you were going to go there.
a clown school.
I know. It's
Yeah,
the
Ringling Brothers used to have a clown college. This was many years ago. It hasn't been for a while. We offer physical comedy classes. When we haven't had much demand, I don't know. You guys have been sitting here on the radio. You need to come
Right.
do some physical
Yeah,
comedy.
We'd have to come up with some names for us,
oh boy. Okay.
and then I think also clowns have to have a unique face, don't they?
Yes,
It can't
the
be a
makeup.
repeated kind of face.
Mm.
Correct. You could be XO and OK, OX. Okay,
Oh,
XO and OK.
KO.
Yeah.
KX. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
okay. I'll be
But we
okay.
do offer a lot of classes.
Wait, you'll be just okay.
That's actually a very good clown name.
That'll be our new mascot. Just okay.
Just okay.
We have a mascot. We have a mascot is a little scruff muffin of a dog named Maple.
Aw.
She was on the Tonight Show with
Aw,
Jimmy
wow.
Fallon.
Aw.
The Caramel House in Olivet has named a candy after her, Caramel
Aw.
Circus.
Oh.
What is it? It's Maple Circus Caramels.
Pulling
It's
on my
salted caramel with a
heartstrings here.
maple flavoring. So yeah, good mascots are great to have. She performs in a lot of the shows, but this show that's coming up the last 3 weekends in April, Swashbuckle. It's an epic adventure with sword fighting and somersaulting,
Ooh.
with pirates and parrots, and we just happen to also have a live parrot.
Does it, and it talks?
No, well, yes and no. So the actual parrot, which is a 32-year-old military macaw,
Okay.
does not talk, but through the magic of circus
Circus
theater,
magic.
circus magic, absolutely. She, the parrot, was originally a child who knew where the treasure was buried,
Oh.
got turned into a parrot so she wouldn't tell anybody, gets turned back into a child and has 24 hours to find the parrot, to find the treasure, which is being sought after by the parrot child and a sea witch and a pirate queen
Mm.
and their crew, the pirate crew and the sirens. So it's a really exciting, fun show. It's at City Museum. It's only $15, and it has juggling, tumbling, sword fighting, as I mentioned, and a brand new aerial act. And by new, I mean it's a new genre in circus world, and it's our first time presenting it. It's called Hand to Trapeze, where there's a flyer, but she's thrown back and forth between a base on the ground and a base up in the air.
Oh,
Hand
wow.
to Trapeze. So come and see
That's
that.
very interesting.
In the Contortion Act, we have a young woman who does the world famous Marinelli Bend, which is where you are supported by your teeth alone. It's hard to describe on the radio, but you would put your mouth on the microphone and then bend your body over so that your butt was touching your head and take your hands off.
Oh my gosh.
Except we don't use a microphone.
I have enough problems with my teeth, Mark. I would lose them completely.
Oh, yeah. I didn't want to talk about it. Your
So you can come watch it. And that's the other thing.
Yeah.
Circus needs, if you don't
Yeah.
really, I mean, who
Right.
doesn't want to fly through the air and control objects and talk to animals? But if you want to just come watch people, we need audience. So come
Aw.
and see our shows. In addition to, this is our first full-length show since the lockdown.
Okay.
But in addition to that, last year we offered 586 shows at City Museum
Wow.
because our students perform, but a number of our teachers also present their own shows there.
Okay. This is Arnold Stricker with Mark Langston of St. Louis in Tune. We're talking to Jessica Hentoff. She's the artistic and executive director of Circus Harmony, and she's been talking about the come one, come all seafaring spectacle of Circus Harmony's Swashbuckle. I like that, Swashbuckle. And it's an adventure on the high seas at City Museum, and it starts April the 15th, 16th, 22nd, 23rd, 29th, and 30th. That's Saturdays, 3 p.m. and 7 p.m., Sundays at 2 p.m. Tickets are $15. Go to circusharmony.org, and you can get more information about that. Now, Jessica, you talked about at the front end of the show that Circus Harmony is a social circus, and it means you use circus arts to motivate social change. Talk about that a little bit more. What do you mean by that? Explain that for listeners.
So social circus is a kinesthetic education tool, a pedagogical tool that's used for social intervention. It's often used primarily with children who are considered marginalized or at risk.
Mhm.
At Circus Harmony, we think all children are at risk. And the focus of ours, the intent is to show young people, one, what they are capable of, their own strengths, and how when they concentrate on what connects them instead of what divides them,
Mhm.
they can create something amazing.
Mhm.
We have a Peace Through Pyramids partnership program that we've done for many years. For 11 years, we partnered with a Jewish Arab youth circus in Israel.
Mhm.
There's a book about it. Watch out for flying kids that you can get through our website. There's a movie called Circus Kids that you can see on our YouTube channel. Then we partnered with a social circus in Puerto Rico. During the lockdown, we ended up partnering with a circus in Stuttgart, St. Louis's sister city.
Wow.
And the kids would meet online and teach each other things online. They choreographed acts and then went out into their
Communities.
respective cities
Mhm.
and did shows in front of iconic structures that were kind of similar between St. Louis and Stuttgart. And this resulted in a video called Sister City Circus. During the lockdown, we also did a video called The Balancing Act, Walking the Pandemic Tightrope, where the children in our program, their families, some alumni, some of the staff, created circus videos where the sound of it was them talking about how they saw the politics that was during the presidential election, the pandemic, or Black Lives Matter. It's a really interesting slice of life of that time, and you can see it on our YouTube channel, The Balancing Act. That was the first time we used personal narrative in our shows, and we combined this concept of personal narrative and the history of place, and now have a program called Architecture and Acrobats, where we find historically and architecturally significant sites in St. Louis, go in the neighborhoods, work with some of the neighborhood children, and create a movie telling the story of those places through circus art. So the first one is almost finished editing, and it focuses on Fairground Park and O'Fallon Park.
Mhm.
Like, people drive down Grand all the time.
Right.
What is that castle there?
Right.
Most people don't know.
What is that?
It's the bear pits from the original St. Louis Zoo.
Oh.
A lot of people
Oh.
even people in the neighborhood don't know about this swimming pool that was in Fairground Park, 10,000 person swimming pool.
Right. Huge.
And at that time, it was an all white neighborhood.
Right.
It's a long history there, but they had to integrate the park, and there were race riots, and they ended up filling in the pool.
Right.
So nobody got to swim.
Right.
And we tell the story of that swimming pool in O'Fallon Park. there's an island of herons. It's like a
Really?
heron nesting place. What are these birds doing in the middle of North St. Louis? So we look at all these sites and have a circus act that goes along with the site that tells the story. We have a beautiful act. You know, the water tower on Grand as
Right.
you're driving towards between Fairground and O'Fallon Park.
Mhm.
Why is it called the water tower? There is no water in there. You'll have to see the movie to find out. And we have a guy stacking 4 chairs and doing a handstand on top of the chairs. That's the act that goes with the water tower.
Gotcha.
The next one we're working on, we've done most of the filming already, is Fort Bellefontaine.
Mhm.
A lot of people have never been out there. It's
Right.
this incredible ruins from an old fort, and it also used to be a place where people would go swimming in the Mississippi, and there were giant ovens there where they could bake things, and it was just a beautiful, beautiful place. There was an orphanage there, which is now a St. Louis detention center for juveniles. So we worked with the kids in the detention center, teaching them circus. And just some of the shots were stunning just because the ruins at Fort Bellefontaine are so beautiful. The next one, and we're already working on it, is to tell the story of, we're just focusing on 2 of the St. Louis libraries, Julia Davis and the Downtown Central Library,
Mhm.
which has phenomenal, gorgeous
It
architecture.
is.
And the Julia Davis, which looks kind of like a White Castle on steroids, but inside, a lot of people don't know what you can get at the library. It's a lot more than books. At Julia Davis on Natural Bridge, there's a maker station
Mhm.
where you can do 3D printing and laser cutting and posters, and they have these podcast booths. You can rent instruments, you could record
Wow.
in there, and people don't know that. I didn't know that you can get period products at the library and gun locks for free. You can get gun locks. Yes, you can get them at the police station, but many people who have guns might not want to go to the
Right.
police station for their free gun lock, but you can get them at the library.
Wow.
So the library, you can also
Good to know.
fax. I mean, the library has so much more than just books, and the buildings themselves are so interesting. The story of the Julia Davis one, which was the first library named after a living person in St. Louis, and they have a little like arboreum in this library. So that's the one we're working on now, and then the next one we're planning. Anybody want to fund it? Let me know, because sadly we were just turned down for a grant, although running a nonprofit is constantly seeking money.
Right.
But the next one is going to be on the story of the Old North neighborhood,
Okay.
which is a fascinating story in and of itself. So that's architecture and acrobats. So that's a way of using circus. Social circus really is working with the kids and showing them their potential. But we also tell the stories of these local neighborhoods by putting the spotlight on the kids to tell the history, and the children are the future. And we hope that the graduates from Circus Harmony will be the kids who go out in the world, find, because of what they've learned at Circus Harmony, because of our philosophy, find a place for everyone, find creative solutions to real world problems, and make the world a better place.
You know, where else, Mark, would you find something like that
No.
that is learning about these specific kinds of things that she just mentioned?
Right.
You know, unless you, and even if you're born and raised here, unless you go there or you research
Right.
it out yourself, you're not
Right.
going to know about that.
No,
Because
and
these things
No,
get lost.
Never.
the
Oh.
woman who choreographed the acro dance, which told the story of the riots at the swimming pool, she grew up in that neighborhood and had not known the story of that pool. And yet, if you put it in a movie with circus acts, more kids certainly will watch it, and it's even more interesting for adults.
Right.
Circus Harmony also has a program called Circus Science, where we go in the schools and we teach science concepts through circus arts, because it's a lot more fun to do things, and the learning sticks better when you're doing it than if you're just reading about it. And circus is physics.
Absolutely, it is. Absolutely, it's physics, and I'm sure the physics teachers ought to be, you know,
they love
lining kids up to go see you.
Well, we come to the school and work with the kids, and then at the end, they put on a show.
Oh my.
The other thing that separates Circus Harmony from a lot of other performing arts school is, one, we're based inside a museum.
Mhm.
So we have the opportunity to do those hundreds of shows every year. And we're very performance focused. Almost all of our classes culminate in a show. Like, we're getting to the end of spring. All of our spring classes for children and adults, the classes then put on their own show at City Museum.
Okay. All right. Mark, I think we need to take a break. And when we come back, I want to ask Jessica specifically about how she got involved with circuses and whether she, was going to circuses when she was a child, or what was that moment when she had
spark.
this bug to really get involved like that. So it's Arnold Stricker with Mark Langston of St. Louis in Tune. We'll be right back. You're listening on the U.S. Radio Network. This is Arnold Stricker of St. Louis in Tune on behalf of the Dred Scott Heritage Foundation. In 1857, the Dred Scott decision was a major legal event and catalyst that contributed to the Civil War. The decision declared that Dred Scott could not be free because he was not a citizen. The 14th Amendment, also called the Dred Scott Amendment, granted citizenship to all born or naturalized here in our country and was intended to overturn the U.S. Supreme Court decision on July 9, 1868. The Dred Scott Heritage Foundation is requesting a commemorative stamp to be issued from the U.S. Postal Service to recognize and remember the heritage of this amendment by issuing a stamp with the likeness of the man Dred Scott. But we need your support and the support of thousands of people who would like to see this happen. To achieve this goal, we ask you to download, sign, and share the one-page petition with others. To find the petition, please go to dredscottlives.org and click on the Dred Scott Petition Drive on the right side of the page. On behalf of the Dred Scott Heritage Foundation, this has been Arnold Stricker of St. Louis in Tune.
Each time that we plan a show for St. Louis in Tune, we strive to bring you informative, useful, and reflective stories, as well as interviews about current and historic issues and events that involve people, places, and things. And while St. Louis in Tune originates from the Gateway City and covers local topics, we also connect what's going on nationally as well. Our topics cover a wide range of arts, crime, education, employment, faith, finance, food, health, history, housing, humor, justice, sports, and that's just to name a few. We know there's many radio stations, programs, even podcasts that you could be listening to, and we're glad that you've chosen to listen to St. Louis in Tune. If you've missed any of our previously aired programs of St. Louis in Tune, simply visit stlintune.com. That's stlintune.com. There, you'll find every show from our first to our most current. Use the search engine to look for a show that might interest you from one of the many topics that we've covered. And drop us a line and tell us how we're doing. You can do that at stlintune@gmail.com. That's stlintune@gmail.com. St. Louis in Tune, heard Monday through Friday on the usradionetwork.com and many great radio stations around the U.S. and, of course, right here in St. Louis. And don't forget, check out our website, stlintune.com. That's stlintune.com.
I could just zone out on that.
I know. That's right. I know it.
Welcome back to St. Louis in Tune. This is Arnold Stricker with Mark Langston. We're having a conversation with Jessica Hentoff. She is the artistic and executive director of Circus Harmony, and they are located at City Museum on Wash Avenue. And Jessica, before the break, I kind of prompted you with a question. When did you get this circus bug? When did you want to become involved with the circus?
So I never knew that was an option. I grew up in New York City, but I went to college and they had circus classes, and I thought that would be fun.
Really? They did?
Yeah,
No
and
kidding.
now 50 years later, it's still fun. But I started taking circus classes. I really loved it. I wrote to 60 different circuses looking for a summer job, saying I'll do anything. The elephants, Tina
Wow.
for the elephants, anything.
This is great.
The only person who wrote me back was a Methodist reverend who ran a youth circus based in Washington, D.C. This was before the internet. I didn't answer him because I'm Jewish, and he called me. I said, why didn't you answer? Well, I'm Jewish. And he's like, no, that's the point of this show. It was called The Circus Kingdom. He brought young people together from throughout the United States and created a circus that we toured in the eastern half of the U.S. And in addition to doing regular shows, we would go to shows where people couldn't come to us. So homes for the mentally ill, senior citizens' homes, prisons. It was almost a different form of social circus, using circus that way. And I came back from that summer and I went to my circus teacher, Warren Bacon, and I said, "This is it. This is what I want to do with my life. How can I repay you?" And Warren said, "I'll tell you what my teacher told me. Pass it on." So I started passing it on right away. Everybody on my dorm floor learned how to juggle, went back to my high school, taught circus there.
Wow.
And I did go on to have a full performing career, but I've also always taught. So I ended up in St. Louis because I had a double trapeze partner. I was the catcher, she was the flyer,
Wow.
and she was from St. Louis. Her husband got a job here, her family was here, and she convinced me that if we moved here, we'd be centrally located for touring,
True.
which was true.
Yeah.
And then she got divorced and left. And
She flew away on the trapeze.
Right.
but I had already started the St. Louis Arches, and I
Okay.
couldn't turn to them. And
Right.
so I'm still here, and now we're multi generations in. And in fact, one of the original St. Louis Arches, that youth circus troupe from, I thought it started in 1989. I was corrected. It was 1988. I was corrected by the woman who now serves on our board of directors, who was one of the 10 original members of that troupe.
Wow.
Another one, so that was Tiffany Lewis, and she works for the mayor in the accounting office. Another of the original members, Tiffany Harris, is a teacher at Ames Visual and Performing Arts Elementary School, which is down by
Right.
Crown Candy Kitchen. And for years, I've gone and taught circus to her students. And about 8-9 years ago, I found a student there named Sabrina. And Sabrina has stayed with the circus and is now a teacher and has a one-woman show. And Sabrina now goes back to Miss Harris's classroom and teaches. And there she found KJ. And KJ is now in the circus. In fact, KJ and Sabrina are both in this upcoming show, Swashbuckle. But circus is family, and it is multi-generation, and it is with us. Let me tell you some of our other alumni. So I did become a circus performer. I did double trapeze, unicycling, fire eating, clowning, bareback riding.
Wow.
And when I started the school, I passed that all on. And some of our students have gone on right now as we sit here. We have 2 students with Cirque du Soleil in Vienna performing. We have 2 students with an incredible company called Seven Fingers, which has a residential show in San Francisco at Club Fugazi called Dear San Francisco. We have 2 students there. We have one is in New York City with Cirque Mechanics at a beautiful theater called the Old Vic. We have another who just got to New York City because they are making a musical out of the book Water for Elephants that they hope will open on Broadway. So he is the circus captain on that show. One is one of the top jugglers in the world today, and he just signed a year contract in Atlantic City. One walks wire with the Flying Wallendas, stands on her husband's shoulders, 30 feet up in the air, and she'll be back in St. Louis because my troupe, the St. Louis Arches, will be working with Circus Flora, and the Flying Wallendas are also part of them, so you
Wow.
can see her there. One of our alumni ended up getting shot out of a cannon on Ringling Brothers and was the youngest female ever on Ringling to get shot out of a cannon, and the first Jewish human cannonball in history, as far as we can tell. And we asked circus historians, and her name is Eliana Grace. She is now the general manager at Circus Harmony and also has her own, actually, she has 2 one-woman shows that she presents. One is about heartbreak, it's very funny, and the other is about This Is Why, about how she ended up in the circus.
There's so many things about the circus that fascinate me. I think it's a skill set that you have to have, but being shot out of a cannon, I just, wow, that is just amazing to me.
Well, and the thing with Eliana, she's like, oh, anybody could do it. I'm like,
No,
once, they could do it once.
that's right.
And the other thing is,
Right.
yes, maybe they could, but would they?
No.
To have the control. So circus is about control.
Uh-huh.
It's about controlling your body, but it's also about controlling your mind and your emotions. And it's also what children find when they come to the circus. So the world right now is arguably more out of control than it's ever been. Racism
Right.
and gun violence,
Right.
the plague, war.
Right.
It's real nuclear threat. It's terrifying and out of control. But in the circus, you are in control. and you control yourself, you control the audience. And I think that's one of the appeals of being in the circus.
Now, talk some specifics about that, Jessica, because you talk about and a lot of performance. I'm a musician. It's mental, it's muscle memory, but a lot. There's a combination there.
Right.
Mark and I've talked about baseball and things like that. Any kind of activity like that is at a higher level really has a lot of mental capacity that's behind it. And how do you? What does a circus performer need, and how do you get them to that level? In other words, walk us through like what training would be to get shot out of a cannon, because you talked about physics, you're talking about weight of the individual, you're
Right.
talking about angle of the cannon,
Right.
you're talking about how much push is going to be, all that kind of stuff.
Well, and we don't do cannon because I told you our ceilings were low. They're way,
Right.
even 40 feet isn't enough for that. So there is a lot of that. In fact, when Eliana was first offered the job, she said, I'm bad at math, because you have to figure out the trajectory. And
Right.
I assured her, you can use a calculator. There's a formula. Someone will help you with the math. The question is, will you get in the cannon? But they do need to figure out all those things. And if you're outside, you have to take in the weather as well. But at Circus Harmony, what we say is circus teaches the art of life. So while you're learning to flip, fly, and fling, you learn important life skills: focus, persistence, teamwork. You learn goal setting, which everybody needs, and you learn how to present yourself in public. So people also are like, oh, circus is dangerous. Actually, and there's a study on this, that circus is safer than just about any other after school activity, certainly safer than like football, hockey, cheerleading.
Oh, yeah.
And part of that is because of how we teach in progressions, how we spot things, and how we get a young person ready, not only physically. Yes, you need to be strong and flexible and coordinated, but also mentally and emotionally. You need to be able to control, if you're afraid, to still focus and do it anyway. And that's a life skill that's really going to help you. The other thing that audiences notice more often than anything is that sometimes you make a mistake. Sometimes you drop a ball. Sometimes you fall down. And our kids learn that you can't just sit there in a puddle or run off the stage. You have to stand up and do it again. And that's a heck of a life skill, because I don't care what you're going to do, you're going to fail. And it's how you deal with when you fail that will determine what your next steps are.
Especially presenting in front of a group of people, a large group of people. That can be very intimidating.
It can. And you'll appreciate this. One of my students, before he left for Circus College, was talking to a reporter, and the reporter left, and he said, you know what I really learned here? I can talk to anybody. But being able to talk to someone is an important life skill.
Absolutely.
You're going to need to do interviews and to be able to look someone in the eye.
Right.
All of this you get through doing circus. And it's like circus science or the architecture and acrobats. The kids think they're having fun because it's circus, but the lessons that they're learning that will apply to all other aspects of their life are very profound.
Mark, I find it very fascinating as Jessica's talking, and she mentioned that Methodist minister who, when she, was involved with that, and how she came back like, this is what I want to do in my life. And now she's passing all of that on. And I hear that in everything that you're talking about. I hear
mentoring,
all of the mentoring and all of the I hate to use the word because it's so overused. And I can't even think about it, but here it is, the passion of what you have, the desire for doing what you love, and how you're just giving that back away. It's overflowing from within you.
So there's a Jewish concept called tikkun olam, that it's our job as humans to repair the world. And you can use whatever glue you have, radio or medicine or music, or I just happen to use circus. And there's a new book that just came out called Under One Tent: Circus, Judaism, and Bible. And I wrote a chapter for that on social circus being tikkun olam. Speaking of passing it on, there's an alumni that I forgot to mention, which is pretty funny because my biological children always say he's my favorite child. Not true, because
Did you hear that, kids? Did you hear that?
yeah, nobody
Not true.
believes me.
Oh, no.
But they're all my favorite. But this young man,
Okay.
Sidney Eiking Bateman, was with Cirque du Soleil. He went to Circus College, came from some very rough circumstances. And I'm not saying anything out of school. PBS did a little mini documentary on him called The Acrobat. It's on YouTube. Went to Circus College, went with Seven Fingers, which is that company I mentioned before that has the show in San Francisco. But they had a show where he and his partner, who was also an alumni of ours, did an acrobatic act jumping through hoops. And the soundtrack was an interview with them the summer of 2014, I guess it was, where they were talking about growing up Black in St. Louis and waiting to be the next person killed or arrested. And right as the show went on the road, Mike Brown got shot in Ferguson, and that quite literally blew up. And that show was seen around the world. I had somebody write to me from Chile going, I just saw Seven Fingers show, Cuisine and Confessions, and I recognized those two boys. I had seen them at City Museum. And it just moved you to tears. Well, that young man, Melvin's still with Cirque du Soleil, along with T-Rock, another student of ours. King quit Cirque du Soleil to join the WWE. And he did it right before the pandemic. So while Melvin and T-Rock were in Moscow trying to get home, they did, thanks Cirque du Soleil. King was with the WWE in Florida, where wrestling was considered essential. So he worked the whole pandemic. He now has his own action figure. And if that's not the epitome of success, to have your own action figure, he's writing his autobiography. He's writing 2 children's books and a comic book. So, and at my house, the irony is that when King lived with us for a while after somebody murdered somebody in his home, I wouldn't let him watch the WWE. Not in my house, that violent nonsense. And now I watch it, and my kids are like, oh, I see how it is. I'm like, well, I watch it because he's on it.
Right.
It's still violent and not my favorite show. But and to see him do all the skills that he learned in our ring, and he's just doing them in a square ring. And the bottom line is, when you have children, you want them to be happy and successful. And he is both. And that's what we do as teachers, as educators, as humans. That's repairing the world, is really making sure the next generation can do a better job in it than we have. And we don't seem to have done very well.
If parents are interested in getting their kids involved in some summer things or other kind of throughout the school year classes, what should they do?
Go to circusharmony.org, check out our class schedule. We also just started a partnership with the St. Louis Parks and Recreation and Forestry Department, and we will be teaching classes in 7 different rec centers because we're looking for new talent. During the lockdown, for over 2 years, we weren't doing any of our outreach programs. And if you can already do 2 back handsprings, it's on our website. There's a thing called, I don't mean you personally.
I was going to
I want to
say,
see Mark do this.
no, I was hoping you would do it, Arnold. I know.
Well, if you could go to the Flip Out Tryout link on our website. You make a video, send it in to us with a little, talk to us about why you think you might want to run away and join the circus. Flip Out Tryout, and you could win free circus classes. But we are looking for new talent all the time, especially if you want to be part of our performing troupe, because we're trying to build back after the lockdown, and you need a lot of people.
And age doesn't matter? Age doesn't matter? Or does it?
It's Flip Out Tryout. No. We're looking primarily for young people, but age doesn't matter. You can come and take classes. That 93-year-old woman, she didn't start until she was 70.
Oh, my. Wow.
And
second career
and
there.
did aerial work. So, but no, you're laughing, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, I can't come. I'm not strong enough." No, you come, and that's where you get stronger. And it's more fun doing it. So circus, there's so many kids now. Their thumbs are the only thing that's in shape.
Exactly.
And at circus, it's a whole body workout. Come to Unicycle Club.
Oh my!
And that's all ages. A 65-year-old man had found a unicycle in his garage, and he's like, "Can I come?" I'm like, yeah, absolutely.
Balance and
and it works your balance. Circus is a life. Physical activity that will help you in everything.
And I know some kids are involved in gymnastics, and gymnastics used to be, when we were in high school, there was gymnastics team, and high schools used to have that, and it's kind of gone out of favor. But there's a lot of similarities and commonalities between.
But it's not competitive in the circus. Yes, you compete with yourself. And yes, the kids are like, I can do more flips or I can juggle more. But mostly, circus is about the more successful your partner is, the more successful you are, the more
Mhm.
successful the whole group is.
Mhm.
And that's why when
wonderful.
people use circus as a pejorative to describe the political system, I'm like, you wish it was like a circus there where people really supported each other and
Uh-huh.
took care of each other and worked together to create something amazing.
Would you call it a clown show?
No, because clowns,
I know.
no,
Yeah,
clowns
that's
are
correct.
really,
You're
they're
right.
funny. They bring joy.
They
Our
do.
political system has not been bringing joy
No.
to many
No.
people for a
Let's
very,
see.
very long time.
We need to figure out what to call them then.
I know.
And we need to take that out of.
I think
Yeah.
the biggest insult would be to say you're like a government.
Oh, I like
Or-
that.
Yeah, I like that
all
too.
right, You're
Yes.
yeah.
All
Sad.
right.
Fix it. They need to fix it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk about that on future shows.
Yes,
How the-
absolutely. I
How,
like
how
it.
the
We'll do some
legislature.
circus workshops there, and
Yeah.
I know.
The circus is actually something you enjoy.
Yeah,
mhm.
right.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
Very good.
That is good.
It is. It's amazing too. The skill and that it takes to be in the circus. You know.
So, folks, Swashbuckle, and I love to say that word, Swashbuckle, is going to be at
Right.
Circus Harmony, and you can get tickets at circusharmony.org. They are $15. That is the admission to City Museum, and where this is going to take place April 15, 16, 22, 23, 29, and 30. Saturdays, there's 2 shows, 3 p.m. and 7 p.m., and Sundays at 2 p.m. Jessica Hentoff, thank you for coming on St. Louis in Tune and talking about Swashbuckle and Circus Harmony and giving us new impetus to describe our government.
Thank you for letting me make your day a circus day.
All right. Thanks, Jessica. We're going to be back after a brief time out here. This is Arnold Stricker with Mark Langston. You're listening to St. Louis in Tune on the U.S. Radio Network.
Thanks for listening to St. Louis in Tune. On each and every show, we strive to bring you informative, useful, and reflective stories and interviews about current and historic issues and events that involve people, places, and things. Hey, we cover a wide range of content in the arts, crime, education, employment, faith, finance, food, health, history, housing, and humor, justice, and sports, and that's just to name a few. While St. Louis in Tune originates from the Gateway City and covers local topics, we connect to what is going on nationally as well. If you missed any of our previously aired programs of St. Louis in Tune, simply visit stlintune.com. That's stlintune.com. There you'll find every show from our first to our most current. Use the search engine and look for a show that might interest you. And if you have an area that you'd like us to examine deeper, let us know. Just drop us a line at stlintune@gmail.com. That's stlintune@gmail.com. St. Louis in Tune, heard Monday through Friday on the usradionetwork.com and many great stations around the U.S. and, of course, right here in St. Louis. Our website again is stlintune.com. stlintune.com.
Hurt me.
Welcome back to St. Louis in Tune. This is Arnold Stricker with Mark Langston. What a fun interview with Jessica.
Oh, I know it. Boy, I know. You know, this is something about talking about the circus that just makes you want to joke around a lot.
Yeah.
But there's no joke about what she was talking about. I mean, there's some really
Serious stuff.
skilled people, performers in there, just getting shot out of a cannon. Come on. the Jewish woman to get shot out of a cannon. I'm like, wow, that's just, I can't imagine. But yeah, put this helmet on, you'll be fine. We're going to shoot you over there. Hopefully you'll hit that big net.
It's a lot of, like she said, calculations and everything like
Yeah.
that.
I know she was a good sport too, because
She
we
was.
were laughing a lot about it, and she was trying to tell us about the serious part of it, and it is serious.
Well, and this is very serious because this came out. This is an article entitled "What May Happen in the Next 100 Years," and it was by John Watkins Jr. and he wrote it in 1900. And he's saying what was going to happen in the year 2000. Are you ready for some of these?
Oh yeah,
No mosquitoes or flies.
yay!
Insect screens will be unnecessary, as mosquitoes, houseflies, and roaches will have been practically exterminated.
Yes. Oh wait, no. We need to, to find the applause. That's applause. Yeah.
And it says boards of health will have destroyed all mosquito haunts and breeding grounds, drained all stagnant ponds, filled in all swamplands, and chemically treated all still water streams. This part I'm not quite sure. The extermination of the horse and its stable will reduce the housefly.
Huh?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know how that would be. I would think a horse stable would attract houseflies.
Oh yeah.
Just something off the top of my head there.
He also said hot and cold air from spigots. Hot or cold air will be turned on from spigots to regulate the temperature of a house, as we now turn on hot and cold water from spigots to regulate the temperature of the bath. Central plants will supply this cool air and heat to city homes in the same way as now our gas or electricity is furnished. Rising early to build the furnace fire will be a task of the olden times. Homes will have no chimneys because no smoke will be created within the walls. Now, that's kind of true in a different sense.
Yeah. When did he do this?
1900.
Wow.
Let's see. What's another good
I don't
one?
know how you ever get rid of the roach. You're not going to
They've
get.
been around for
Yeah, they're going to be around
forever.
way after the world is done.
Now, this is very insightful. Man will see around the world. Persons and things of all kinds will be brought within focus of cameras connected electrically with screens at opposite ends of circuits thousands of miles at a span.
Wow.
American audiences in their theaters will view upon huge curtains before them the coronations of kings in Europe or the progress of battles in the Orient. The instrument bringing those distant scenes to the very doors of people will be connected with a giant telephone apparatus transmitting each incidental sound in its appropriate place. Thus, the guns of a distant battle will be heard to boom when seen to blaze, and thus the lips of a remote actor or singer will be heard to utter words or music when seen to move.
Wow.
This guy know Nikolai Tesla?
Yeah. And that was before TV.
Yeah, and
Telephone.
before speaker movies.
Uh-huh.
I thought this was kind of
Boy,
interesting.
that's very insightful.
Yeah, there's a couple others like that that are kind of creepy. And then we have some ones that sound like this. Peas will be as large as beets.
Wow.
Peas and beans will be as large as beets are today. Sugar cane will produce twice as much sugar as the sugar beet does now. Cane will once more be the chief source of our sugar supply. The milkweed will have been developed into a rubber plant. Cheap native rubber will be harvested by machinery all over this country. Plants will be made proof against disease microbes just as readily as man is today against smallpox. The soil will be kept enriched by plants which take their nutrition from the air and give fertility to the earth.
Now that we need right there.
Mhm.
That we need. Wow. This guy was ahead of his time.
Really ahead of his time.
Right.
So,
It's pretty interesting stuff.
yeah. So there's some, and I can go into these at other times, how children will be taught.
Oh, yeah.
Trains 150 miles an hour. Well, gee, I wish we had some in the United States.
Oh, yeah.
Automobiles will be cheaper than horses.
Right.
I love this one. Everybody will walk 10 miles.
I'm lucky I could walk to the car.
And he said there will be 500 million people. Well, I think I checked it out at the year 2000. There was 6.2 billion people.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's a little off on that one.
Wow.
So I just thought those were fascinating. Oranges will grow in Philadelphia.
Oh, okay. Okay. I get it. That's
Few
north.
drugs will be swallowed. There will be no wild animals except in menageries.
Why? I don't understand that.
So
Well,
I thought that would be fascinating.
that is fascinating. That's an interesting look at the future.
And I want to kind of close out briefly here with a couple fun things.
Well, it's National Wear Your Pajamas to Work Day. I just want to make
I
sure.
missed that.
And you did National Librarian Day. Speaking of librarians,
Yeah.
Day of the Mushroom. Do you ever pick mushrooms?
I did one time when I was small.
Yeah.
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 It is now the season for getting the morels.
Yes. You got to make sure you get the right ones.
Right.
How about go fly a kite day? Yeah.
Somebody says that every so often to people.
They tell you that all the time.
Yeah.
National Bean Counter Day.
Oh,
we're
is that
getting
like
close.
a CPA?
Yeah, we're getting close to when you count your blessings and send them all in to the
IRS.
government. Yeah,
right.
that's right. National Eggs Benedict Day.
Oh.
Do you like Eggs Benedict?
Yes.
I love Eggs
Yep.
Benedict. And let's see, National Orchard Day, National Reveal the Genius Within Day. We
Oh.
all have a genius within us.
I'd say you and I do that all the time.
Okay, that's all I got.
So the doctor says, your blood pressure is a little high.
Mm.
I said, well, I have 4 kids, 2 are in college, 1 just got his driver's license, and my youngest is about to become a teenager. Doctor's silent. I'm silent. Doctor says, your blood pressure is a little low.
Don't encourage them.
All right. So, folks, you have to keep things in perspective. Reading 20 pages per day is 30 books per year. Saving $10 per day is $3,650 per year. Running 1 mile per day is 365 miles per year. Becoming 1% better per day is 37 times better per year. Small habits are underestimated.
Yes, they are.
Yeah. Roses are red, tacos are delicious. I use paper plates because I hate doing dishes. And it's not an empty nest until they get their stuff out of the basement.
Good luck with that. Move.
I Googled my symptoms, turned out I just need to go camping.
Holy smokes.
Let's see. In my family, we don't hide the crazy. We give it a beer and wait for the show to start.
Yes. Thank you very much.
All right. And we'll close with one of these.
All right.
Things your mother should have told you.
I wish there's a lot she missed. Go ahead.
Take your bananas apart when you get them home from the store. If you leave them connected at the stem, they ripen faster.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Ma. Okay.
So we'll give more of Mama's things she should have told you in future shows.
Mhm.
Okay.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that is.
All right.
Mark, good to see you. Take care of
too.
yourself.
I will. Have a good weekend.
You too. That's all for this hour, folks. Thanks for listening. Don't forget, when the Martians invade, they may be trying to become part of Circus Harmony. But there's always been one race, the human race, and every one of us have different characteristics and is uniquely valuable. St. Louis in Tune is a production of Motif Media Group and the U.S. Radio Network. For St. Louis in Tune co-host Mark Langston, I'm Arnold Stricker. Remember to walk worthy and let your light shine.